Hello, welcome to War Thunder Bootcamp, a series of tutorial videos for newcomers to the game, designed to help you learn the ropes fast and easy. This time, we're going to tell you about Tanks Arcade Battles. We'll cover the game interface, driving, shooting, and some useful tactical tips. The short briefing that is shown before every battle will feature the map that you're about to play. The map itself shows you the position of your allies and the enemy, as well as the mission objectives. Once loading is complete, you will need to select your first tank. You will then proceed to drive this tank until total victory, or, which is more likely, until your heroic but untimely demise in combat. But you can always return to the fray with as many tanks as you have selected, but no more than 3 times per battle. It's worth mentioning that there is a thing called a backup vehicle. It won't give you an extra life, but it will let you use a ground vehicle that you already lost. Before spawning, you can also select the types and number of shells that you want to take into combat. Let's start with the default loadout for now. Take a look at the interface. If you have played an aircraft previously, you will see many familiar things on the screen. In the bottom right corner, there is the familiar minimap, showing enemies in red, allies in blue, plus all the capture points on the map. On the left side of the screen, there is a mini model of your tank, which is used to demonstrate the current status of all the modules of your vehicle. They are all intact for now, but it won't last, mark my words. In the top left corner of the screen, there is an improvised instruments panel. It shows your current speed, engine RPMs, and gear number, just like the manual gearbox of a car. At the top of the screen, just like in air battles, it's the points aka tickets indicator with red and blue bars. The red bar must be drained before the blue bar for your team to win. Immediately below are letters indicating capture points to be seized and held. The color of the letters indicate which team currently has them, by holding the majority of which, the teams can drain each other's ticket bars we have mentioned earlier. Most mission types for ground combat come down to seizing and defending capture points. Dispatching your enemies is not a task in itself, but rather a way to fulfill the primary objective of capturing the set points. Depending on the mission, there can be 1 or more points, while in some of the missions, the points might move around the map during the battle. But the real objective is always the same: capture and hold as many points on the map while preventing your enemy from doing the same. Now, let's move on to controls. For the sake of this tutorial, we will assume that you have completed the tutorial mission for tanks from your hangar's notification bar. If not, well, you should before going into real combat. Plus, you'll be getting some free premium golden eagles for doing the tutorial mission. Okay, in order to move your tank around by default, use the WASD keys. The turret can be rotated by moving your mouse. The free camera can be activated by holding down the C key. Add Q and E keys, they are used to operate cruise control. Give it a try. But bear in mind that some of the ground vehicles, just like in real life, can drift quite hard. Drop some of your speed before steering, or you risk exposing vulnerable side armor to the enemy, or even tipping over. Most ground vehicles have 1 or several machine guns in addition to their primary weapon. You can aim it with your mouse and fire with the spacebar. Machine guns in game are meant to be used against aircraft, but can also be used to clear yourself a path through fragile objects such as old and run-down buildings or bushes. But you can also pop a few bursts at the enemy players just to mess with them while you're reloading your gun. There is no playable indirect artillery unit in the game, but some of the tanks can call on a fire mission with the 5 key. The 6 key can be used to extinguish a fire if you have researched and purchased fire prevention equipment beforehand. If your vehicle is equipped with parts, you can repair it in combat by pressing the F key. The following keys, 7, 8, and 9, are used for air mini-events. Let's take a closer look at them right now. You can earn points for dispatching the enemy in combat, earn enough, and you will be able to fly in with an aircraft to wreak havoc from above. This sortie will be short, just under 1 minute, but if you know what you're doing, you will be able to take out 3 to 4 enemy tanks. The research points earned as a result will be directed towards your ground vehicle research, not aircraft. The bomber is the most expensive of the trio and can be activated by pressing 9. Immediately after in terms of points is an attack aircraft activated by pressing 8. And finally, there's the cheapest option of the 3, a sortie with a fighter, activated by pressing 7. A useful option when you want to cover an allied bomber or shoot down one of the enemies. Last but not least, in the vehicle interface is the towing cable, activated by pressing 0. The tow cable can be used to help your allies if they get stuck or have overturned their tank somehow. You can even use it to drag your stricken but still living teammates from under enemy fire. This covers the controls. Now it's time to fight. See those enemy tanks far out? They're hot on each other's heels, rushing to capture one of the points. Let's try and stop them. First, find a good position with decent view. Now, aim your gun. The large white ring shows the direction your camera is pointing. The smaller ring indicates where your gun is aimed at the moment. The large ring also indicates the status of your gun. If the ring is of its regular color, you can fire. If it's red, you can't. The ring also indicates reload. As soon as the ring fills up with green, you can fire again. We recommend you use the sniper mode, which can be toggled on or off with the shift key. The sniper mode allows you to better target vulnerable spots of your foe, such as a driver's hatch, gun barrel, or engine. You can further improve your aim by zooming in with the Z key or the right mouse key. You can also lock on a specific opponent by pressing the middle mouse button. Furthermore, it is possible to track the target by simply holding down the right mouse button. The aim will just follow the vehicle. It's a very convenient feature for any anti-aircraft gun, or just any tanker that likes to hunt fast-moving targets. See this little cross here? It shows where the shots will land since it does not travel in a straight line but flies by a ballistic trajectory. The color of the crosshair also tells you the chance of penetrating the armor. Green means that the armor will most likely be penetrated. Yellow means that the penetration chance is about 50%. Red means that the shot will not penetrate at all. Now the crosshair is green. Take the shot, that's a direct hit. Enemy destroyed. The damage model in War Thunder involves not only penetrating the armor, but also dealing damage inside the vehicle. Tanks here don't have abstract hit points, but they do have vital modules and crew. Destroying modules and neutralizing crew is how you deal actual damage to your target. A critically damaged module will cease to function until it is repaired. If the damage dealt to a module is not critical, it will continue to function, but with reduced effectiveness. For example, a moderately damaged engine will have fewer horsepowers, a damaged gearbox or chassis will seriously limit your tank's mobility. If some of the members of your crew are down, their duties will be spread among the still active crewmen, naturally with less effectiveness. In order to fully destroy a tank, you will have to either burn it down entirely or neutralize all the crew members, or blow up the vehicle's ammo rack or one of the fuel tanks. By the way, if your vehicle still has at least 2 tankers in it, one drives, another shoots the gun, you can keep on fighting. But if either of them is incapacitated, it's game over. You can research a special modification called Reinforcement though. Basically, it allows you to get a new crew member from reserves once per battle. Just don't forget to cover the cost of the replacement before a match. You will be better off firing when your tank is stationary. Take your time before you fire, allowing the sight to stabilize after movement. Aim well and fire. Always try to engage your target from cover, not to become a prey in return. Okay, let's get another tank. As you have probably noticed already, you can load different shells into your tank before spawning. At early ranks, we recommend using AP shells. But let's review different types of shells available and help you take your pick depending on the tactical situation. There are several basic types of tank ammo in game, including, but not limited to, shrapnel, high explosive, armor-piercing, including APCRs, and high explosive anti-tank shells. Bear in mind, you will only have access to the shells that your tank, historically, was equipped with. HE, also known as high explosive shell, is a poor solution against enemy armor unless you're shooting at reserve tanks or vehicles with extremely light armor. But it can be easily used to destroy open-topped or unarmored vehicles. This shell is extremely effective versus the enemy crew. Shrapnel shell, just like the HE, was designed to combat enemy infantry. But the shrapnel shell has generally a bit better AP value, causing even more damage inside a tank if it manages to get past the armor. This shell is not suited for long-range engagements because of its light mass, but it can be quite deadly at close range. Heat, also known as high explosive anti-tank shell, has a consistent AP value regardless of the distance from which it was fired. When it hits the target, its shape charge creates a directed jet of superheated metal, effectively burning through the armor. We recommend using heat shells when you want or have to engage your target at long range. This shell is also extremely effective at exploding ammo racks and fuel tanks. The most common type of rounds in game is AP rounds. They come in two main types, regular rounds and subcaliber rounds. A typical subcaliber round, such as an APCR round, has a core of extremely dense and rigid metal inside a lighter outer shell. When fired, it has all the energy of the regular AP round, but the round itself is smaller than the regular AP round, so it has less drag and flight. Once it hits the armor, the outer shell disintegrates, while the much heavier core punches through the armor. Combination of all these factors make for an enormous armor penetration value of the round. But once the armor is penetrated, such a round creates fewer fragments inside the armor and as a result deals less damage if compared to a regular AP round. APCR rounds and its cousin APDS rounds are perfect for targeting enemy modules and ammo racks. Finally, there are the regular AP rounds, which in turn might be whole cast rounds of solid metal or armor-piercing high-explosive rounds, which first punch through the armor and explode inside the tank to cause extra damage. The rounds can be further either sharp-nosed or flat-nosed. Sharp-nosed rounds have better ballistics but ricochet more often. The flat-nosed rounds have inferior ballistic qualities but are less prone to ricochets. They in turn might have special ballistic cap to reduce drag and flight. If you have several types of ammo selected, you can switch between them with numeric keys such as 1 and 2. Bear in mind that loading your tank to the brim with shells is not such a good idea. The more shells you have inside, the easier it will be for your enemy to hit one of the many ammo racks inside the tank. So generally, the fewer shells you have loaded, the safer you will be in battle. Now, let's take a look at what we're going to be riding to war. There are 5 basic types of ground vehicles in game, 3 types of tanks, such as light, medium, and heavy tanks, self-propelled guns, and self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. Each vehicle class has its distinct playstyle and tactical application. Light tanks are fast-moving and rapid-firing but lightly armored vehicles. These vehicles are perfect for outflanking your enemy and conducting battlefield reconnaissance. A light tank can also smoke out the enemy from cover by calling artillery strikes. Medium tanks, mobile with moderately rapid-firing guns and decent armor, especially at higher ranks. They have a key role in any battle by capturing points and hitting the enemy positions with daring flank attacks. The medium tanks, just as their lighter cousins, can call in artillery strikes. Heavy tanks, well-armored and armed, but slow and unwieldy. Their primary role is to soak up the enemy fire, defend and advance main venues of attack, and of course, to destroy the enemy with their awesome weaponry. SPGs or self-propelled guns. These got the most powerful and accurate cannons, and as a class are designed for a slow and purposeful sniping action. Some of the SPGs got decent armor, others are highly mobile, while most of them feature a very low profile to make them a difficult target. The main flaw of this class is the lack of a rotating turret, at least on most of them. So, in order to aim, you'll have to pivot your entire hull. SPAAGs, or self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, definitely not the first pick of any battle, as the enemy simply will not have enough points to spawn with an aircraft. The threat from above appears towards the middle of the battle, which is the right time to man an SPAAG. Some of them, if equipped with AP rounds, can be quite effective versus lightly armored tanks. Well, this covers basic movement, shooting, ammunition, and vehicle classes. Welcome to battle. You might be already thirsting for combat, but have caution and don't rush ahead of the main force. By perishing early on, you will simply be helping the enemy earn easy points for an easy frag. How about trying to capture the points instead? Find a position which has decent visibility and some cover to hide your tank behind. The greenery or rocks can be used to conceal your tank while you reload. Keep a constant eye on the enemy movement in your kill zone. Take them out one by one and relocate every once in a while. Remember that this is not a race, easy does it. The team that can capture ground consistently and have fewer losses in the process is usually the team to win the battle. This concludes the second episode of the War Thunder Bootcamp. Watch the next video to learn how to effectively upgrade your vehicles and crews. See you in battle.